There's no way home for 9 days, and we're taking Lola to the sea to visit the Tender Bar. I'm Connor.
And I'm Becks Perfect, and this is Offscreen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom.
Welcome to Offscreen. We're keeping you cinematic. We've got a big Spidey Senses movie coming your way very soon in the first half of this particular show this week. We've got loads of stuff coming up for you, haven't we, Van?
We have, including, do you remember when it used to be a big deal when actors turned to directing? Like when Mel Gibson did Braveheart in 95, or, The Man Without a Face in 93. That was a huge deal. Mel Gibson is doing directing. When the few occasions that Denzel has attempted to direct, and he's a very capable director, it was a big deal. Nowadays, not so much, and we know that because we're going to be talking about a movie first and foremost this week, directed by George Clooney, and there's been no marketing for this. So we're going to talk, of course, about The Tender Bar, Bex, which I believe you've seen as well.
I have seen. Now, this has been brought to you by Amazon Studios, and this is starring Ben Affleck. It stars Ty Sheridan as well, and also Lily Rabe is in this as well. And it's a story of essentially, it's a coming-of-age story of a young boy in the 1970s who is essentially, he grows up on Long Island, and he's trying to seek out different people within his life to fulfill that kind of father figure role, which is left by his radio.
Father, obviously.
His father, but I was just going to say, his father is like a radio personality that is just causing all sorts of havoc. So, that's The Tender Bar.
I know a lot of guys that think they're writers, and you'll find in life that most of them are not. Here's the thing. You gotta have it. I don't know what it is, but if you don't have it immediately, you never get it. And I say you got it.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. There's something.
Calm down. I didn't say you were good. I said, you could be.
So there's Affleck at his best supporting actor stab for the year, because he's got to have one of those. And that's the thing. This does feel again very cynically like, come on, we all know why this film exists. Why are we here? You're not showing us anything new. You're not showing us anything groundbreaking. It's very obvious what the intent is for this film, and it's pouring out of every frame. Everything down to when this is being released tells you exactly what kind of film this one is. And don't get me wrong, it's very charming. Despite that, it's a very charming film. I found it quite likable. But it does feel like the flip side of the coin. What was that weird Red State, Ron Howard thing got nominated for an Oscar last year? The one that starred Amy Adams and Glenn Close.
The Hillbilly one.
The Hillbilly Elegy. This feels like the inverse of Hillbilly Elegy. So you had the Hillbilly Elegy, to support, that was your right-wing coming-of-age, wannabe aspiring, growing up writer, literary type. And now you've got the same, but the other way around, and this is like Long Island. And the whole thing is basically just about, how charming Ben Affleck is. Because Ty Sheridan's kind of the anointed rising star, really, of the moment. You look at his body of work. He's going to work with just about everyone in this sense. He's worked with Spielberg, he's worked with Clooney. He just seems to be doing that Sam Worthington thing of being passed through the ranks of the named directors.
But fair play to him, because he is good, And he kind of comes into this film about 45 minutes in. So we kind of spend a lot of time with the younger version of Junior in it. And that, for me, do you know what this film sort of said to me was, this reminded me of The Wonder Years. It had a real feeling of that, family around a dinner table. They're all there's different characters. Everybody wants an Uncle Charlie, which is what Ben Affleck's character is. Someone will slip you those dollar bills just for being his nephew. It's that kind of movie. But you're right, it's quite placid as well. It's just... It ticks along. You kind of go through this relationship that Ty Sheridan has as he gets older, and his character kind of... is being messed around by his girlfriend, and she's from a much more upper class family, and there's all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't really take off. It doesn't take flight, this movie. It just glides, is what I would say.
The weird thing is, someone asked me to describe it to them, and I said, look, if they released this 3 or 4 years ago, it would have been the exact same movie with the exact same cast, except it would have been Lucas Hedges in the lead. and that would have been and that tells you exactly the movie you're going for with this. It's fine. It's on limited theatrical now. It's on Amazon Prime, I think, shortly as well. Is that in the new year? I think it's out over Christmas on Amazon Prime. In the meanwhile, that's the tender bar. I say, check it out. It's good and everything. It's nothing groundbreaking or new. But, good performances. I think Affleck's very likable. See it for good old Uncle Charlie. I mean, personally, I'd rather, spend another 2 hours going drinking with the actual Ben Affleck. That'd be kind of fun. But the actual Uncle Charlie, not the actual Ben Affleck, because that's probably very problematic. Anyway, let's talk about another one I know you've seen. Sci-fi drama. Not even sci-fi, really. Fantasy drama.
Yeah.
That's out. Yeah. Let's talk about 9 Days. Because I'm curious how you are going to synopsize the plot of 9 Days, Bex. Go on.
I'm almost going to have to look it up to keep me on track with this, because 9 Days follows a guy who is a recluse, and he basically, his life is to follow a number of subjects, shall we say, who live their lives on Earth. Right. So what he lives in is this, I wouldn't say purgatory, but it's this land where when you're dead, or you are, people come to you to be reborn. And
they're the new souls, aren't they? They're the new souls. It's the bit from Disney Pixar's Soul, where they find the Tina Fey character, where they're trying to decide which souls get born into human bodies, effectively.
Exactly, but in this sense, it's very bleak, and he's essentially one of his subjects who has gone down to Earth and followed for a number of years. I think her name was Amanda in this.
Yeah,
she essentially dies all of a sudden, and so he has to fill the gap and find someone else to replace her, and so starts interviewing a number of different souls to take her place. And so there's different characters that come in, but the one that really turns things on its head is played by Zazie Beetz, and she comes in and causes a different turn in the way that we spend out these next 9 days.
You want soap?
No.
Don't you get hungry?
I'm like you. I don't get hungry, but I can eat.
So why don't you eat?
Because I don't get hungry.
It's not really the point of eating.
For me, it is.
All right. Will? What's it like?
What?
Be alive?
Maybe you'll find out.
Winston Duke there as Will, this sort of arbiter of souls, as it were. You've also got Benedict Wong in there in a supporting role. Zazie Beetz, you've already pointed out. Tony Hale gets a decent supporting role in there. And Bill Skarsgård, I think he actually gets the coveted and credit and gets a decent... They've all got decent roles. I think this is really good. I think this is a really solidly written thing. Plays like an episode of Black Mirror, just stretched out to double length, even though there's nothing science fiction about it. It's mostly supernatural or mythological, if we're being even religious or spiritual, if you're being more open about it. But I think this is really good. Solitary location, great use of space, great use of environment, really well shot by Ed Sonoba, I think. Great performance, central performance from Winston Duke, who, I mean, I already thought was terrific anyway. I thought he was terrific in Us, if I'm honest, even though he had the less showy role next to Lupita Nyong'o. But I think this is really something. There's great chemistry between him and Zazie Beetz. They know how to play the parts perfectly. There has to be a certain amount of restraint between the two, that they know just how to handle and how to allow just enough affection to crack through those boundaries and that restraint. And it's played really, really well, but it's all down, I think it's down to, I think, solid writing and solid performances every time.
Well, yeah.
Really great, though, I think.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't say it's my cup of tea, this movie. It's not something that I would choose to watch, but I very much appreciate that what they did. I actually think it would be a great play, this would, because I think it is very much down to the... Totally. Yeah, it's down to these characters and them playing out. Now, Benedict Wong in this, I know he's English, but his accent was irking me so much.
That is his actual accent. That's his actual voice. Because bear in mind, he's in not one but two movies that we're reviewing this week. So, this is his actual voice. The fake one he uses to an extent in the other one.
Oh, Benedict. It was just a bit like a soft Liverpudlian, weird sort of Beatles-esque from the 60s kind of voice. It was very strange. But, if you can get over that, that's fine. I think it edges for me. It sits there on the edge of your skin. It could get creepy, and it doesn't, and it pulls itself back. I think it's a really clever technique that's used by the director. It takes you to the edge and then brings you straight back again. So
it does. It never gives
very
too
accomplished.
Much.
No, and that's frustrating. That will be frustrating for some people, but actually, it will just keep you wanting to watch it. So a solid movie, I would say.
Welcome back to Off Screen, and keeping you firmly in the realms of the cinematic, we have, one new release that I think you can also watch at home this week, but also probably the biggest theatrical release of the season, really, to chase it. So we're going to end the theatrical releases on kind of a high for the season. I mean, I know we're going to do new releases next week as well, but I don't think Matrix 4, the reboot, is going to stack up against, another film that we're going to talk about. So let's talk really quickly before we get to Spider-Man No Way Home about Lola and the Sea. We were looking forward to talking about Swan Song, weren't we, on this?
Yeah, we were. But Lola and the Sea, what's that all about?
So Lola and the Sea, this is one I actually didn't know anything about this, and I was genuinely blown away by it. So this is one of those that got assigned to me for the Morning Star that I'm not looking forward to, that I then watch. I'm like, oh god, that was actually really good. Okay, so this is a drama about a young trans woman who's looking to get her degree and become a vet, who returns home when her estranged mother passes away. Her mother was the only parent that was supportive of her, but she's obviously left home after a disagreement several years earlier, goes home for the funeral, discovers that her mother's final wishes were to have her ashes scattered on the coast at her childhood home, something her father is intending to go through with. Now, her father Philippe has no time for her because of obvious prejudices, and the pair are nonetheless forced together on a road trip as they set out to scatter their matriarch's ashes. You can guess what kind of dramedy this, well, not dramedy, it's less comedy. There's a couple of decent chuckles, but I would describe it more as a drama. Stars trans actress, I'm trying to remember her surname here, Maya Boleas, I think her name is. Impressive debut. It's a Belgian film, so it's all subtitled. You've got the wonderfully named Benoit Magimel as Philippe, and he just an absolutely you can't ever not enjoy that man's harumph, and he puts on a good harumph all the way through this. But it is all about Maya Boleas' performance. Great performance.
And do you know what I would say, just by you describing it, the format is not something that we haven't seen a million times before.
Well, it's Green,
two people,
isn't it? It's
exactly.
It's Green Book. It's Driving Mystery. It's that mismatched road trip drama template, isn't it?
But it's then kind of like, how do you make this different? How do you make this more engaging? So what is it that they've done that really stuck out to you?
I think, to be honest, giving it that exploration of the trans experience, giving it that LGBTQ angle, I think does add something sufficiently new to it, because it's still not an element that comes up that often in mainstream theatrically released cinema. This format for the mismatched buddy road trip drama, and I think it works really well. I say, if for no other reason than the central performance from Maya Boleas, this is worth seeking out. It's not an especially groundbreaking film, but those performances are worth it. And Laurent Micheli, I think, who wrote and directed Even Lovers Get the Blues a few years ago, is behind this. So this has been made with some passion. It's just a shame that the film itself is just a little bit middle of the road, a little bit average. But it is nice to see this format applied to a trans character. It is nice to see those performances. It's just a generally nice film, I would say. I would advise, if you're looking for pleasant.
Is this a Curzon film?
This is not a Curzon film. No, this is going out through. I think it might be Peccadillo. What mine backs? Peccadillo. This one. So seek this one out. Okay. This is in indie cinemas. Obviously, this is also in your some of the smaller screens in your local Cineworld from this weekend. But I think it is available also to watch at home as well if you go through digital platforms. So you should be able to watch this on premium on demand, and I recommend that you do. Another experience I recommend that you have, and I don't believe you'll have had this for COVID-y reasons, is there is a certain film. It's in cinemas. It's in cinemas. No, it's been in cinemas for 2 days. Came out Wednesday the 15th. We were shown it the night before, Tuesday the 14th. It was a great experience. It was nice to see everyone. It felt like the critics' Christmas party. And we saw Spider-Man No Way Home. Bex, you excited about this one?
Well, I really like the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. I think they really, really work. I remember yesteryear going back into the screenings and watching the previous iterations of this, and I have glanced, I would say, at some early reviews of this particular movie, and they are up there. They are 5 stars. Even from The Guardian, I think, has come as 5-star, which is shocking for me.
Absolutely. So the general premise, this is the 3rd installment of the Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man series. Colloquially, this is the Spider-Man in the Avengers universe series. 3rd movie for Tom Holland. I think his 6th appearance as the character, though, debuted in Captain America Civil War all the way back in 2016. Has done 2 Avengers movies since as well. And last time we had the European vacation movie in Far From Home, as he attempted to reconcile the death of Tony Stark. At the end of that movie, he was outed. His identity was made known by a distinctly Alex Jonesified version of J. Jonah Jameson in the new alt-right version of the Daily Bugle. The new movie begins literally there as Peter Parker is outed to the world and has to deal with all the pressure this now puts on not only his life, but the life of all his loved ones. This has always been the mantra behind why Spider-Man keeps his identity a secret, is so as not to harm his friends and his loved ones, as we find out when they start getting turned down for colleges and things like that, because of the negative attention that their presence brings. So, of course, with nothing left in the way of options, he turns to magic, as one does, because he happens to know the Sorcerer Supreme. So he pops along to Bleecker Street and asks Doctor Strange if he'll cast a spell for him that'll make everybody forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But he has some caveats for that spell that he doesn't think of until the spell is actually being cast. And well, it all goes a bit pear-shaped, as you'll hear here, and I'll fill you in on just what happens after.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Nice knowing you, Spider-Man.
Wait, excuse me?
The entire world's about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Everyone? Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
So my girlfriend's just gonna forget about everything we've been through? I mean, is she even gonna be my girlfriend?
All right, fine. Everyone in the world's going to forget that you're Spider-Man, except your girlfriend.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, Ned.
Okay, let's not change the parameters of this spell anymore while I'm casting.
Okay, I'm done. I swear I'm done. Nah, but my Aunt May should really know.
Dude, just stop talking.
And yet again, Peter Parker's mouth gets him in trouble. So the resulting chaos sees several villains. I'm being very spoiler conscious now as I say this. Results in several villains from the other live-action Spider-Man movies appearing in the MCU. And Spider-Man and his amazing friends, I guess, in this case, being MJ and Ned, and Doctor Strange, have to basically remedy the situation. However, Peter quickly discovers that in their original universes, all of these villains died at Spider-Man's hand. They died fighting Spider-Man. And given the recent death of Mysterio and how it's made him feel and how it makes him look in the eyes of the public, he sets about a new radical course of action. He's going to rehabilitate them. And that's all I'm saying. And that's it. Okay, so as far as the big reveals go, yes, there are surprises. Yes, I am being very conscious of spoilers. Yes, you will whoop. Yes, you will cheer. No, they do not disappoint. Yes, it's everything you ever wanted to see in a Spider-Man movie. Yeah.
Is it a 5-star movie?
I personally don't think it's as strong a film as certainly not Spider-Man Homecoming. I think it's about on par with Far From Home. It's quite a flimsy film. If you think, the thing I compare it to, actually, is that third Captain America movie. You remember Civil War? Which ran the risk of becoming Avengers 2.5. Because even though it was Captain America 3, it had that responsibility between being that team movie and that larger world movie, but also keeping it as a Steve Rogers, a Captain America-centric story. This, I would argue, is not as successful in keeping this a Tom Holland Spider-Man story. This is more a story about Spider-Man generally than it is specifically about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. They do away with the actual element of his identity and being outed, for instance, within about the first 40 minutes, and I think that's a real shame. They do a lot of multiverse stuff that, don't get me wrong, is very fun, and it's nice to see a sort of live-action attempt at the Spideyverse, and they have some good fun with it. There's great moments, as you can hear. Sorry, I'm in central London, so you can hear the sirens raising past King's Cross there. I kind of would have been more interested in the Peter Parker fugitive or Peter Parker, defendant story. Like, I feel like they lose the John Hughes element by going the route they've gone. And that John Hughes element was such an intrinsic part of what I loved about those first two movies. Having said that, the performances are all great. Tom Holland, good as he's ever been. Zendaya, getting a bit more to do here. Ned as well. A couple of performers I won't name. Come back in style. It all works. There's some inconsistency on Jamie Foxx's part as far as how he's playing Electro, but we're seeing in IMAX. Stick around for the end credits. Avoid spoilers at all costs. There are 2 post credits, by the way, mid and end, so stick around to the very, very end. The first one, by the way, I thought was hilarious. Just enjoy. It is absolutely the Spider-Man movie that fans have been waiting for. I think it's a 4-star film, but I think it's a 5-star experience.
Welcome back to Off Screen. So we've kept you cinematic and we're taking you on a ride through the telly box. And you know what? Christmas is upon us. We're trying to find as Christmassy films for you, but you know what? We found a bit more of a varied selection. Kicking off with something that I think will put a smile on a lot of women's faces and men. It is your Saturday night at 9 o'clock on Channel 5. It is The Full Monty. I love this film. It is just that feel-good phenomenon of a film. Was this 95 that this came out?
97. 97. Specifically, it was August 1997. And if you give me another minute or so, I'll probably remember the exact date, because it opened the same day in the United Kingdom as Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery, at which my dear friend Andrew Sharp and I attended opening night at the Odeon in Sheffield City Centre, only to come out at about 9:30, 10 o'clock that Friday night and find the entire cinema filled with moms. The perfume was suffocating. That movie was just a gangbusters. It was a smash. It was a huge hit in the UK. It was a minor hit in the US. I think like word of mouth did well for it. But I think it became a phenomenon. It's now a stage show, I think, as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, it follows 6 unemployed steel workers who decide to form a male striptease act. And, it's all about the women cheering them on as they go the full Monty or decide whether or not to do that. But it's perfect British humour. It's that great kind of, like, if you love films like Brassed Off and, movies along those lines that take that kind of working everyman, put them in an unusual scenario and bring in that brilliant British balance of drama and humour and, commentary, this is that magic that it creates.
Well, you need to look at it as well. I mean, if you want to judge the success, the impact of the Full Monty, just look at its cast and what they've gone on to. I mean, arguably the biggest draw in the Full Monty was Robert Carlyle, and he was only really known for Trainspotting in the mainstream at that point. Made stars out of Mark Addy, Tom Wilkinson as well. Like, they've gone on to have huge careers. And obviously, Carlyle himself, this was part of his springboard to fame after I think it was Trainspotting, this, then the Bond movie, isn't it? I think he's a Bond villain.
Yeah, I think so.
Straight on the back of this one. So worth checking out. Channel 5, Saturday night, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Sunday night, BBC 2, 7 p.m. This one is family friendly. I'm just going to turn this one over to you, Bex. We've got a clip, so please cue me up whenever. It's the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Now, you chose this. I've not even contested it. I've just let this one sail through because I can't remember anything about it, and I'm hoping you can explain it to me whilst also queuing up our clip.
So it basically stars it stars Gemma Arterton. Jessica Brown Findlay. Sorry,
is it Jessica Brown Findlay? Is this not the Lily James one? I'm getting them all mixed up.
Well, I thought Lily James is in this, but Jessica Brown Findlay's in this as well. It's it's set in the aftermath of World War II, and essentially a writer forms an unexpected bond with the residents of Guernsey Island when she decides to write a book about their experiences through the war. So
yes, I remember it now. Yeah.
And actually, it is Lily James, and I thought she was really good in this. And I thought the whole cast, again, when we talk about that Britishness, sometimes you kind of think, can you recreate the magic of these films of like yesteryear and stuff? For a Sunday afternoon movie, something like this, it's such a long title, the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie
Society. Yeah.
It's a bit of a tongue twister. I really enjoyed this, and I thought it's a great film for, let's just say, the older generation, but also it's a good film that you could watch with your family and be interested in. And I think that for me is something that I think really has the romance, it has the look back on a certain period of time, and it has fantastic performances too.
Dear Mr. Adams, books have been a refuge for me too. When I lost my parents, it was the world of books where I made my home. They saved me. Absolutely. I beg your forgiveness in advance in inviting myself, but I must come and meet your society. I so hope that you might allow me to sit in on your meeting and to learn more of your story. Let's lay the blame at Charles Lamb's feet and allowing me to think I might be welcome at all. Yours sincerely, Juliet Ashton.
I declare it the most whimsical film on BBC Two at 7 p.m. this coming Sunday. After which, on Monday, on Watch, not a channel we get to talk about often, but we get to mention twice this week, Watch, Monday night, 10:05, you can find Louis Theroux's My Scientology movie, which is always worth a watch for a giggle. You know, Louis going after Scientology is always a chuckle. Tuesday night, ITV, 11:40, bit of a late one, this one, 11:40 in the evening, but you know what, it's the last few days before Christmas. You know, some people are off work, you know, some people are home from uni for the holidays, you know, some people might just come back in the country, are stuck in quarantine before they can see their families for the holidays. You can always watch Shaun of the Dead. It's a classic. It doesn't age. It stays as funny. It seems to actually get funnier as it goes on, actually. I showed this to my partner, who's an American and had never seen Shaun of the Dead, for the very first time earlier this year, and she thought it was fantastic. As she described, it's not the movie she expected from the synopsis. So, rom-com doesn't quite sell it.
Yeah, but it is the movie that I think you can decide that you're going to go and get a cornetto at any time throughout the year. No
it is iconic, isn't it? Yeah.
It is really.
On to Wednesday then, because I know this is one that you love dearly. Wednesday then, Bex, what you got for us?
I've got Crazy Rich Asians for you, which I could sort of attest to maybe two of the three parts of that, crazy and Asian, but not the rich bit, unfortunately. But this is on BBC One, 10:35 p.m. Quite late for this. This is a brilliant movie. This was the movie that I suppose launched a number of names, Awkwafina being one of them, Henry Goulding as well. Who else is in this?
Constance Wu is the lead, but she was she went on to do Hustlers after this, but I think she'd filmed it before, and she was already known for, I think it was Fresh Off the Boat on TV, because there was a famous controversy of her kicking off when it was renewed. I wanted to begin her film career. Great movie. Constance Wu is the NYU professor who goes home with the dashing fiancé for a family wedding. I think it's his best friend, and you know his whole family are involved because he's basically the friend is part of that family, and discovers, of course, that he's not exactly a working Joe, hand to mouth, living paycheck to paycheck everyman.
So your family is like rich?
We're comfortable.
That is exactly what a super rich person would say. It's not a big deal, obviously. I just think it's kind of weird that I had no idea. I mean, you have a Jamba Juice card. You use my Netflix password. You play basketball at that Y that kind of smells.
I really like that place, thank you very much. And yes, my family has money, but I've always thought of it as theirs, not mine.
I love it. I fall in love with Henry Goulding every time I watch this. BBC One, 10:35 p.m. Someone else that you might fall in love with, no matter what your preference is, you've got a choice of four here in The Holiday, one of the big Christmas movies. I think this was taken off Netflix, and luckily we've got it on ITV. It's on 11 p.m. on Thursday. Oh, The Holiday, the Cottage, Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, Kate Winslet. What more do you want to feel festive?
I love that you're saying, like, you can pick which one to fall in love with. Ain't nobody picking Jack Black to fall in love with. Jesus, no. Like, really? Anyway. And also, Jude Law apparently only has 15 years before he has to start looking like Richard Harris or Michael Gambon. So I don't know there's that meme going around, isn't there? Like, at what point does he decide that elegant three-piece suits are out and Gandalf robes are in? But we've got that to look forward to. The Holiday, which is on many times this Christmas, but you can see it on our recommendation, 11 p.m. this coming Thursday, the 23rd of December. We're creeping ever closer to Christmas, and that means that next Friday is, of course, Christmas Eve. And you need a Christmas movie on Christmas Eve. You do. And I don't think they're showing Die Hard, and they're not showing Scrooged, so neither of my two usual recommendations are possible. Nowhere ever shows The Ref/Hostile Hostages, so I can't recommend that either. They're not even showing Muppets Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve this year. They are, however, over on Watch at 7 p.m. showing the feel-good romantic comedy, the Christmas gem, the forgotten Christmas gem, because we all forget this is Christmas, that was Sleepless in Seattle, the second pairing of Tom Cruise and Meg Ryan. He is the widower. She is the, I think, journalist who works on the other side of the country. They get connected via a radio phone-in, and his son has designs on pairing them up in real life.
This is the one I like.
Jonah, the fact is, you're not going to like any woman because it isn't your mother.
How do you know? What's wrong with Annie?
Oh, Jonah, shut up!
Shut up? Shut up? Mom never said shut up to me. Mom never yelled at me.
The conversation is finished.
Why can't we go to New York?
There is no way that we are going on a plane to meet some woman who could be a crazy, sick lunatic. Didn't you see Fatal Attraction?
You wouldn't let me.
Well, I saw it, and it scared the out of me. It scared the out of every man in America.
I love that line. That's my favourite line in Sleepless in Seattle. A great movie, you know, never... obviously it dates. You know, it's like When Harry Met Sally and those jumpers. It dates. Hanks would never be seen with that hair now, but it's still just such a classic. And I miss Meg Ryan being in movies. I really do. I adore Meg Ryan. On 7 p.m. Christmas Eve on Watch. Gather the family round and watch this. It's such a lovely film, and it reminds you how Tom Hanks became the megastar that he is, and how Meg Ryan, you know, held on to her title for so many years as America's sweetheart. So, Sleepless in Seattle this Christmas Eve, wrapping up your Christmas edition of Freeview Picks.
Welcome back to Off Screen. So we've taken you on a wild ride of the big web-slinging cinematic journey down to your fun Freeview picks. And now we are on to DVD, Blu-ray and streaming. And we're kicking off with our DVD and Blu-rays with a biggie. This has been, you know, only a couple of months ago, the big movie in the cinemas, the only movie the British public was going to go and want to see in COVID times. It is, of course, No Time to Die. It's out already on DVD and Blu-ray?
Well, the thing with James Bond is that James Bond appeals so heavily to an older demographic as well. And the older demographic obviously are the most cautious about returning to cinema. So there was a decision made a few weeks ago to release it to digital platforms, a premium VOD effectively, and to bolster its numbers. And obviously now it's going to home platform as well in time for Christmas, because it'll shift copies. Like, you know, everyone's dad and granddad has a copy guaranteed this Christmas. I mean, it's Bond. It's the new Bond film. And that's to say nothing of, you know, there'll be box sets put out. There'll be a new edition of the box set put out to include this new latest chapter. And, you know, there'll be a Daniel Craig specific box set put out. And this one's going to fly off the shelf. So they've got to get it out for Christmas ASAP. Of course, we're not talking about the plot as yet, which sees James Bond called out of retirement when he and his beloved come under attack. It emerges that Madeline Swan, from the previous movie, Léa Seydoux, when it emerges that there may be forces in her past that she has not yet been made privy to. And this then leads to another attack years later in which Bond himself is called back into service and enlisted by Felix Leiter to help rescue a scientist on the run in Cuba, and it's all tied to a mysterious megalomaniac played by Rami Malek, recent Oscar winner at the time this was announced, as they brilliantly named, I think his name is Lucifer Savin, which might as well be Lucifer Satan. But here's Naomi. Sorry, not Naomi Harris. Here's Lashana Lynch as the new 007, and she kicks so much ass in this.
You seem like a man who's gagging for some action, Mr. Bond.
Shall we cut to the chase?
I'm here as a professional courtesy.
Well, you're not very courteous, are you? You've broken my car. It's Commander Bond. You know that. 00?
2 years.
Very young.
I achieved that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The world's moved on since you retired, Commander Bond. Perhaps you didn't notice.
No, can't say I had. And in my humble opinion, the world doesn't change very much.
You would say that. Look, this all seems like heaven. This little bubble, or whatever.
I really, really enjoyed this movie. I was enthralled from start to finish. My husband was left quite distraught throughout this movie, but you know what? It was a great cinematic experience, and I think a really fitting end to Daniel Craig's chapter as Bond. So it'll be big shoes to fill for the next Bond, we have to say. Let's move on to the world of streaming now, and we talked about this film last week. Stars Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem. It's Being the Ricardos. This is going to be out on Amazon Prime Video on Tuesday. It is the story of Lucille Ball and her husband, Des Arnaz, who are having the week that was, I think, is the way to describe it. Where
the week from hell, effectively, for them, I think.
Yeah, the week from hell, the week that changed everything, and really well done. An Aaron Sorkin written and directed movie, and you know, something that I think people who will be interested in it, particularly those across the pond, will enjoy watching. I think for us over here, it's a bit more of a learning curve, isn't it?
I can tell you, every single review I have done elsewhere on Being the Ricardos last week is because I did that as one of my two big new releases of the week. Everywhere every presenter that I talked about that movie with, as soon as you mentioned Aaron Sorkin, they just lit up, like audibly lit up, like, oh my God, Aaron Sorkin, like, yeah, I'm in, like, say no more, I'm in. It's fascinating, you know, for how many people that really does make an impact. So yeah, for the Aaron Sorkin fans, check this out. I mean, it is a film that if you didn't know it was Aaron Sorkin, you would watch 5 seconds on, oh, this is totally Aaron Sorkin. I mean, I'm listening to it and watching it right now. You totally would. And it's, you know, it's good to see, you know, filmmakers like that. There are very few out there that are that distinctive. I mean, I don't think we're going to watch The Tragedy of Macbeth, for instance, and specifically think that's a Coen Brothers movie. But we'll find out after Christmas. So hopefully over Christmas if my screener comes through. But yeah, Being the Ricardos, it's worth checking out now that it's going to be on streaming. So that's on from the 21st on Tuesday. I expect we'll be hearing about that, you know, here and there through awards season. Perhaps not with the big nods, but here and there. Globes and things like that. Not so much Globes. You know, the lower tier ones, I think. But on Tuesday, on that same day, though, we have also got the prequel to a movie we're going to be hearing a lot about soon. The predecessor, not the prequel. Sing is coming to Amazon Prime on Tuesday the 21st, ahead of the release of its sequel, Sing 2, imaginative title. Wouldn't Sing Louder or Sing Higher have been a better sequel title? Sing More or Sing Another Verse. Sing Another Verse would have been a great title.
Yeah, that would have been a great title. I have a confession, Van. I've never seen Sing.
I've never seen Sing? Oh my God.
No. I know that Taron Egerton is he the little singing
He's a gorilla
pig in this?
No, he's a gorilla.
Oh, he's a gorilla.
Oh, yeah, okay. he's a gorilla, and his dad is dad Idris Elba. I think his dad is Idris Elba. His dad's locked up, and you know, doesn't approve of him wanting to be a singer and just wants him to like be a criminal like him in the family business. It's really sweet. It's a movie of it's an animated movie with loads of little subplots. I mean, it centers around like an X Factor style talent show that's being done to save this, you know, used car salesman like promoter's fledgling theatre, and he's voiced by Matthew McConaughey as a koala, and it's, you know, Zootropolis like setup, with an X Factor like talent show, but it is the individual subplots of the various characters. Like, you know, you got one voiced by Reese Witherspoon, who is the little pig. She's the housewife pig who balances being a mum to these dozens of piglets with her dreams of wanting to be a star. And it works. It's a fun little film. It's one that kids naturally love because it skews relatively young, but the dialogue is complex enough and the set pieces are fun enough that it engages relatively young teens as well. And then beyond that, the dialogue is also adult enough that it still entertains, and the storytelling's complex enough so the parents and the teens can enjoy it as well. So it has got really broad appeal. It's definitely one to check out. If you want an animated film to stick on for the kids over Christmas and they've not seen Sing, or they see the trailer for Sing 2, which is more likely they're going to see marketing for Sing 2 over Christmas, flick on Amazon Prime if you've got a subscription or you want to subscribe. Flick on Amazon on Prime and put on the first Sing. They will love it. Something to watch alongside the Secret Life of Pets movies or Zootopia.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Good.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I would say the next movie that we've got on our list, and actually the final movie of today, is one that leads us in almost ready for what we're going to be talking about next week. We have on Prime Video as well on Thursday, so the day before Christmas Eve, we have The Big Short. This is a brilliant film from Adam McKay. This is so... Oh, is that an oh God, as in you...
No, I was agreeing with you. I was just going to say, you know what we were just saying about Aaron Sorkin, how, you know that's an Aaron Sorkin movie. I feel like we're getting there with Adam McKay. We're getting to the stage, I think, where there is starting to develop this rhythm and cadence to an Adam McKay movie. And The Big Short does seem to set that template, doesn't it? Because you look at Bombshell, for instance, apes this style in particular.
Yeah, and look, this is all covering what happened around the financial crash of 2008. It does a fantastic job of actually breaking down what happened during that economic crash to people who probably didn't know the intricate ins and outs, but they do that with a star cast, an amazing cast of cameos that jump in and out of this to tell you all the different stories and give you those definitions you need. And it does it in Adam McKay style. And that's why I'm so looking forward to his next film that's coming out next week as well. So, I mean, Brad Pitt, Steve Carell, Margot Robbie pops up there. The cast is endless.
Doesn't Jeremy Strong from Succession turn up in this as well? Isn't this one of his roles? Like, he's one of Steve Carell's team. I want to say he's one of Steve Carell's team. You've got Marissa Tomei as Carell's wife as well. Obviously, Ryan Gosling. We can't forget Gosling because this is the movie that's got Pitt and Gosling in. And of course, here's a clip of, I think, Jeremy Strong trying to get Brad Pitt on the phone.
He has so many numbers, and I always forget which one he prefers because he's very specific. I don't know if it's the first one.
Just try it.
Okay. Okay.
Ben Rickard.
Hey, Ben, it's Jamie.
Jamie, you know you're not supposed to use this line.
Told you. Okay, let's try number 2 out of 14.
Ben Rickard.
Ben, why do you do that, man? I mean, you're a retired trader, okay? No one is listening to your calls.
The NSA has $52 billion budget and the ability to monitor
tens of million calls a second. Do you think they're not using it?
I promise I will refrain from saying Ben Rickard and Dirty Bomb in the same sentence.
It is Jeremy Strong. Vinny Danielle is what he plays. Well done. I didn't quite recognise that from his voice there, but yeah, you're absolutely right. He's in that, which is great. All the more reason to go back and watch it again if you are a Succession fan, because Jeremy Strong is fantastic.
I'm gonna just confess to you. You know that I've only seen a few episodes of Succession. I've yet to properly get into it. I'm going to watch it over Christmas. That is my goal.
Good.
Over Christmas.
The quicker you catch up, the better it is for everyone.
Well, I now have 3 complete seasons to watch, apparently. So
it's so good.
I'll do that. I'll do that while I'm waiting for Book of Boba Fett to start. How about that?
Fine. So there we go, guys. This is your pre-Christmas, penultimate pre-Christmas lineup for you. We are going to be back with a festive bang next week as well with some brilliant movies. Yes, Van?
So I was just going to point out for next week's movies, and also I'm going to make I didn't even clear this with you. I'm going to make a format tweak as of next week. So the Friday streaming things, we are going to announce the same day that we actually do the show from now on, because we do it with new releases anyway. We might as well do it with streaming. But next week, as you pointed out, Adam McKay's back with Don't Look Up, which is going to be in cinemas and then on streaming, I think a week or so later. That's out from Netflix. The King's Man we can talk about. The Kingsman prequel from 20th Century Studios. We can talk about that. Titani. We can talk about The Humans. There's The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. And maybe, just maybe, we might get to revisit The Matrix next week. So we're going to do a bumper review edition next week and scrap Freeview because we'll take a week off after anyway. So we're going to be leaving with incomplete listings anyway. But we've got all those to come and more next week then, Bex. What do you think? Do a bumper week to see us off to Christmas?
It's a real bumper week. I can't wait. And that should get us all in the festive movie mood. So until next time, I've been Becks Perfect.
I've been Van Connor, and we shall return.